where they want to recommend it is UTA or UV property.
Yeah.
So I'm like, make them build it.
That's a lot.
You know?
Yeah, well, I think UTA is going to, they're going to start like way early.
I don't know. Are they? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that either.
We'll see what they. We don't have to control for them anyway.
I'm good.
The state does what they want.
We'll wait a few minutes and then we'll get started. People trickle in.
Tell me the name. I know what to talk about, but I don't have this. Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Right here, got your hands on.
And these seats are available as well. It's okay. Sit up here.
You don't like?
I know. That's fine. There will be some stuff on the screen, but there's one they'll see you back there too.
Jennifer will tell you when the recording is going, because I do record these. Do you have video for these or just audio?
I have the video for this, yeah.
Okay, so we do record the video.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, where's the camera? Is it this one?
The one over there.
Oh, it's shining at you, right?
I mean, I think so. Actually, it might be this one based on the view I saw over there.
Oh.
Now, the blue light's on.
I think the front line is, the front row is cut off. But don't worry, it's not being streamed right now.
Commissions. So yeah, last Tuesday night at the work meeting, we had them coming to talk about this My Hometown initiative, which she's going to talk about. And there was some comment made. So I hope this isn't being recorded. I'm just going to say, we're like, wait, it is being recorded.
That's the point.
But I think he meant it as, I can't make any promises, you know, not. It is.
Okay, well, we can probably get started here. I'm Jenica Jones. I am Strategy and Innovation Manager here. I have worked at Orem for about 6 years, but I'm brand new to this neighborhood commission, neighborhoods in general. So I'm excited to get to know all of you and work with all of you. And let's just go around the room and introduce everybody. I know we have a lot of new faces, so it will be good for the old and the new to get to know each other.
Let me start.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'm Sergeant Giles from the PD. I'm over the COP, Community Outreach, the Mental Health Unit, Domestic Violence Investigations, and K-9 Liaison. So just do kind of all of our different hats, I guess. So we help NIT out with their business licensing problems and stuff like that.
I'm David Moulton, lived in Heather Ridge for 25 odd years. I'm Commander, somebody asked the name today.
Oh, hi, sorry, I'm recording. I'm Rebecca, I work with NIT.
Maybe tell them what that is.
Oh, I have a presentation on it, but it's neighborhood improvement team, which is very, it's kind of code enforcement. That's usually what we do, so.
Awesome. I'm Truman Van Cott. I am on and off a Orem resident my whole life, so glad to be here.
Lene Millen, I'm the City Council Liaison.
Samuel Christensen. I run a local group working on the pending nonprofit called Fight Orem. We work on just neighborhood street safety, and I think we didn't quite get on the agenda this time, but we're looking to work with neighborhoods on projects for street safety.
So you're an observer tonight?
Yeah.
My name is Rob Shaw. I live in I think it's Cascade neighborhood. Just off 800 East. I've been there for about 13, 14 years. New to the commission, happy to be here.
I'm Amy Green and lived in Orem for about 58 years.
And I over on the opposite of you, on the west, so we're on that.
So I'm gonna have you come sit here, because
We can scoot over. Yeah, we can bring some chairs up too.
You're at the you wanna go?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
This is
sure.
short, so you can take them.
Because I'm really just trained to walk.
No big deal.
No.
Just grab a chair.
Stall.
Right up there, so maybe.
Yeah, you can come right on the seat.
Or couldn't everybody around the table? Martin, go closer.
So let's see, we got Amy.
Yep. Then. Yeah. I'll hear that. Okay.
I've already gone, yeah.
Mark's up.
Mark C. Strand, on the commission for a little while, just got renewed, so.
I'm Tammy Moore, I lived in the Windsor area for, let's see, 35 years or so.
And I'm Karen McCandless, and I have just been appointed to the commission. I live in the Bonneville neighborhood and have since 1991.
I'm Debbie Lamb. I have lived in Orem for almost 50 years, and I live in the neighborhood being squished by the mall. So.
Rachel Holmberg, I've lived here for about 20 years. I'm just off of 800 West. I come over the Geneva area. So, I'm new to the commission, so happy to be here.
I'm Cinzia Noble. I live south of 800 South, right north of UVU, and I've been here for about 45 years.
I'm Jen Scribner. I'm in the Northridge area, and we've lived in Orem for about 18 years.
I'm Nick Parkinson. I live on Main Street, and I represent Stonewood and Lake Jimmy.
I'm Reed Farnsworth, lived in Orem for about 30 years. Welcome to my neighborhood. Sharon Park and Orem North, so it goes from this corner up to 20th North and 4th East. So glad to have all of you here.
Steve Norman, with Giles here, on the COP team. Just started that position in January, so new to this, but I've been with PD for 22 years now.
Jared Reach, been with Orem 17 years. Last 3 years I've been in investigations and just currently moved over to the COP unit. So.
I'm Sunday Mr. V. Lived in Orem for 12 years, and I was reappointed to the commission, and I remember the Hillcrest Sharon and Orem neighborhoods.
Great. Is that everyone? I'm missing anybody, right?
So those of you, there's some dinner over there if you want.
Yeah, please grab some dinner.
It's good, it's worth the walk.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We haven't met for quite some time, so the last meeting was last July, so we'll make a motion to approve those.
I motion, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. You and I.
Motion to approve those.
Okay. And then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay, so since there are so many new people on the commission, we recently expanded, so now there are 2 from each neighborhood district instead of 1. And many new faces. I thought it would be helpful to give kind of an overview and a refresher for those of you who have been here for some time. Make sure this works. Okay, so far so good. Just of the neighborhood commission in general, responsibilities, kind of some of the initiatives we're looking at in the city, and our city council areas of focus for the year and how they align with our neighborhoods. So if you're not aware, here are the neighborhood districts. So each of you comes from one of these 9 districts. I have it listed over here if you want me to send this out. So it will be helpful to know who are the other representatives from your district. I can do that after this meeting. Well, they recently, well, not too recently, but consolidated to these 9 neighborhood groups. And so this is how the neighborhood plans are structured. Everything is structured around these neighborhood districts in Orem. So the duties and responsibilities of the commission for the new people is not specifically spelled out, but it's just to advise the city council on broad neighborhood issues. So that's open-ended of what it's going to be, and will change depending on the meeting, what the areas we're focusing on. These are just some of the logistics pulled from city code if you haven't had a chance to review that. So the term of office is 3 years. You can get appointed for additional terms. There's no limit on that necessarily. Once your term is up, it will continue until they choose a successor. So if you don't want to continue or whatever after your term, it will still continue until a successor is chosen.
So I think there is a 2-term for every.
Oh, there is a 2-term. Okay. Okay.
6 years total.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'm brand new, so let's see. So removal and vacancy, any member may be removed by the mayor with the advice and consent of city council. Not necessarily that we're planning or expecting any of that to happen. If you move out of the city or move out of your neighborhood district, your office would also become vacant, or if you live outside of city boundaries for a continuous period of more than 60 days. And another thing is that it is important to attend the meetings whenever possible. Your office could become vacant if you miss more than 25% of the scheduled meetings during a 12-month period. And we'll kind of discuss what everyone's thoughts are about how regularly to meet. In the past, it's kind of been quarterly, but we can do more than that, less, what hopefully, well, we'll talk about that, at least twice a year, but could be more, and hopefully will be. So each member has 1 vote. A quorum consists of a majority. No meeting is official unless there's at least a majority. So with 18 members, that means at least 9. The minimum number of votes required to take an action is a majority of those present, provided there's a quorum, but never less than 9, so at least 9 votes. There is a chair that is selected. I don't even know, like I said, I haven't been here. Is there a current chair of the commission?
Not that I know.
I don't think that there has been.
No, we didn't.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this at this meeting, how we want to kind of proceed with selecting a chair. And we could vote on that in the next meeting. Like I said, at least twice annually meeting, and more often at the direction of its chairperson, working coordination with staff, council. Like Councilmember Millett had said, this is an open public meeting, so everything is recorded. We will have minutes that will be approved. We can adopt bylaws, rules, or procedures, and we may establish subcommittees to carry out responsibilities. So essentially the role of the chairperson that we had mentioned is to present recommendations annually to the city council. So we have a report scheduled for this commission for this year in October. And I looked historically and I haven't found that we even have done that. So those are going to be some new items with the changes to the commission. For those of you again who are new, just here are a few resources that you can refer people to or use yourself. This is our neighborhoods webpage. It kind of is the home of everything neighborhoods. It has city programs, neighborhood resources, programs from other entities that offer services to our residents. You can report code violations. An easy way to do that is to submit a ticket through our work system, or you or residents can always call 801-229-7000. One of the things I wanted to highlight is right now we have a Utah Wellbeing Survey that Utah State University is administering this in many communities throughout the state. And it's open right now. I'm not sure when the closing date is, but we are encouraging all residents to take the survey. It's just about well-being, how residents' perspectives are. It's anonymous, no emails collected, anything like that. And it's just a quick survey, and they will be, depending on the results, providing resources and information to the city council, neighborhood leaders about things that we could do to improve well-being in the community. This is our planning webpage that contains all of the neighborhood plans. So if you haven't had a chance to review or haven't recently your neighborhood plans, these started being updated or created in 2015. By law, the city's required to have a general plan, and we're looking to update that next year. But Orem is also elected to create these neighborhood plans. It's not required, but wanting to make it more targeted and focused to the needs of the residents. So in the past, this was mainly done by city staff in coordination with community leaders, but we are looking at partnering or having a consultant that does the general plan do this for next year. And the general plan is, again, supposed to be updated in 2025. And so that's when this would happen. When we did this, it was a 5-year process for all of them, but with going with the consultant, we would be able to update them all at the same time. And then here are our 2024 City Council areas of focus. So every January, our City Council, Mayor, and Executive team get together to lay out the goals for the future year, what they want to accomplish. So they're broken down into 6 main areas. I've highlighted the ones in green that are more relevant to neighborhoods. So as you're going about as a commission and determining what you want to accomplish in the coming year, these are things that city staff, city council, and mayor want to accomplish this year. So hopefully can tie your initiatives and goals to those. So the first is, yeah.
Will all this be available after the meeting, or do I need to take really detailed notes?
Make sure to scribble it all down. I'll send it out.
Thank you.
So the first is to align city council, city employees, and citizens. So working together as a council and staff with honesty and respect, and uniting the community through service, enhancing service opportunities for residents in the community. Safe, livable, connected, and engaged neighborhoods, hoping for increased outreach to our Hispanic and Latino community and businesses, and then evaluating our neighborhood improvement program and codes, a thriving and balanced business environment. Again, one of those items is connected to the minority business owners, dependable infrastructure, State Street renewal, additional trail opportunities, and capital improvements, community-focused and effective government, hoping for strengthening relationships with community partners and expanding the Orem Community Foundation, and then the skilled and talented workforce. And this is internal for city employees. So these are the items I had. Any questions or discussion on any of the items? Not just this page, but yeah.
So one of the things that's been helpful to me is when I find out about city-related activities taking place in my neighborhood. We recently had a development project that's had a fair amount of neighborhood involvement that typically you don't know about it unless you're watching the agendas very closely or you hear about it somehow. It is part of this, or part of the element of aligning, an element of how do we better communicate with our neighborhoods on activities or potential ordinances that would impact our neighborhood, that we can get some advance notice on those, or we can get some element of involvement early on as opposed to a day before maybe the city council meeting. Does that fit in one of these areas?
I mean, I don't know that it is specifically, but I know that has been discussed, and we have a bigger communications team than we've had, and they have discussed how are the ways that we can better get the word out about that and everything else. So we're targeted to neighborhoods based on their needs and some of these initiatives happening and events in their neighborhoods.
I think we can be helpful in that area in coordinating with the city council members about what's kind of taking place in the neighborhood. We're aware of it.
Yeah, and I know in the past there have been neighborhood district meetings. We haven't necessarily had those, but that's something we're hoping to bring back so we can reach people. We can rely on you as well as other leaders in each of your respective neighborhoods so we can help get the word out, and more than just our social media newsletter that only reaches a certain segment of the population.
And just to kind of share, Jenica, in these, there are targeted email lists that we have. So we did talk about that.
Okay.
Using that resource.
Any other questions?
I'll ask another one because you know, the ability to interact and engage with other parts of our community that frequently are less representative or less represented, the Hispanic, Latino, the Polynesian communities. Are we looking to add additional representatives to part of our various commissions within the city that may give them a stronger voice or stronger representation.
I mean, I haven't heard specific discussion on that, but I think that would be one way to accomplish that, for sure.
It really depends on the council member over that commission.
Yeah.
Like I put Janet Alvarez, I don't know if you know her, she's a leader in the Hispanic community. She lives in your area, well, across the way by our new Hillcrest Park. So she's on the CDBG commission. There, but they're probably, if you know of leaders in your areas, I think that would be a great, as a council member, I would like to know that, you know, you have someone.
And our job may be to identify them and bring them forward, because frequently people are not excited to nominate themselves, I guess, as part of the process.
Great idea.
Okay, just the question I had brought up earlier about the chair. So I wanted to have a little bit of discussion from you about how we'd like to proceed with that. I don't know if we want to have nominations, or you could nominate yourself or others, and then we could, I don't know, I guess discussion from the group of what your thoughts are on that first.
What are the functions of the chair?
They would essentially be working with me to like schedule the meetings, and then their main responsibility, they would serve just like any other commission member, but just be the main one presenting that report to the city council annually. Like I said, the one for this year is scheduled in October, so not for quite some time.
And they probably open this meeting and then turn it over to Jim to present.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of work. I mean, it sounds like not much, but the process of coordinating with everybody it can take a little bit of work. So you need to be willing to put in a little bit of time and be willing to attend some additional meetings to kind of represent the whole group. So, you know, but it's very fun. You would enjoy it.
So you should volunteer, I think he's going to say.
Okay, raise your hand if you've never been a chair.
You're in person.
Right. I was right up chair. I admit I know nothing about it. So there's a huge learning curve for me. Oh, I'm fine.
Probably do a vice chair too if there's someone else that wants to fill in when she's not.
That's a good idea.
I'd be willing to be
I
vice
was gonna
chair.
say, someone really wants to do it.
I'd be willing to be a vice chair.
Hey, got a vice chair.
You got a vice chair. Like an auctioneer.
We need a motion to nominate then?
Yeah, we'll need a motion to nominate.
I will do it if you'll remind me your name.
Oh, Jenny Scribner.
Jenny Scribner. I'll nominate Jenny Scribner as the chair.
I'll second. Or I'll third.
Yeah, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was simple.
Do we want to nominate our vice chair so it's on the record?
I mean, it's not in the code that we have that one, but
Reed
we
Farnsworth.
probably should.
I'll go ahead and nominate Reed Farnsworth as our vice chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, perfect. So those are the items I have for now. I'll give an update, as Lee mentioned, on my hometown in a bit. But for now, I'll turn the time over to Becca from our neighborhood improvement team for some updates. And are you gonna plug in? Okay. And I'll move away. Oh, you're totally fine.
Very much scarier when you're fighting that. This thing very often before.
Did you have an HDMI? Oh, okay.
Where's the scenario that you look in?
Okay, what?
No, you got
There's always got to be some sort of technical difficulties. It's not a meeting. Hold on, it went to the volunteer. Uh-oh.
Can't
Something that doesn't like surfaces or Apple products is better. They're all up to date. Okay, sure. Sorry for the delay. Go ahead and eat. It's not just you, it has issues with like all services. It's really fun when it happens in all the smart. I know like we can control. So promise yeah. Yeah, that's it wasn't working on this thing is very fundamental. Every time three comes up, and six comes down. Oh, it's okay. It's just. It doesn't always tell you. I don't know. I don't know. It was working. I mean, there's no way to really see now.
Now in the
This is like this, no? Okay. So I think black is like recognizing that. Great. I mean, we should always send it out after. I don't know about that. Okay. I know I'm like.
Can you email everybody right now?
I mean, you can roll it out right now, so there's some devices around the room. Let's, maybe it won't have to take off. Sorry, everybody, it really is technical, it's gonna happen. Okay.
I guess my presentation better be really good. Yeah, I think so.
Can she email it to your computer?
Yeah, hold it up on my computer now, but it's not working.
Okay, sorry, we have this at city council too, folks. Sometimes it doesn't work for our
Well,
meetings.
I just emailed it out to the commission, so you can pull it up, it's a PDF.
That's why we're getting new buildings.
The text is gonna be seamless. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
Okay, so I will. I'll just do.
This is the one.
Be like I'm great.
Yeah, oh, no, not. I'll do that. I said the wrong one.
As soon as your slides. Not hers.
Jackson?
Oh,
you said.
I know I picked the wrong one, so.
Oh, so this one isn't it?
Okay. That one's the one I just did, so.
Great.
There, that's pretty good.
It's got you're right on top of it, the list of everyone.
Back to TV.
Yes.
And switch on to TV. Straight back.
ESPN.
Hard to jump in the visit once somebody else starts.
How do you go with your dinner? You're like.
I think it's recognizing it like our black music, but it's like movie, but then somehow it's not being transmitted. So the interaction also. Okay, good.
I think double representation.
So there's two reps per.
Yeah. My partner's not here tonight.
Sorry.
Margaret is my.
Like everyone gets to come out, I'm not sure.
Someone has to run it.
She was like this chicken.
Well, I know we just left. I know we just came out. That was November. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna see.
Karen now. Kenna with you.
What was that?
Kenna.
Yes, Kenna works with me now.
Is he? So what do you do at the college? I do love.
I'm
We'll try
I'm
to-
community action.
Community action.
Yeah, I run the CEO, I run the whole thing.
Well, no wonder you took Kenna.
Yes, Kenna's been really instrumental in getting the morning centers that we have. That's where my next stop after this meeting is, we have a morning cemetery.
So she's, well, I got to chat with her for just a minute the other night at Mia's send off.
Oh, okay.
So Miss Tina Orem sent off from Jackson.
This is Miss Orem Small Town.
Oh,
Natalie Small Town.
No. That was the first time I had to visit with Kenna for quite a bit, but she was telling me about her new job and she told me to find it.
Yeah, we enjoy having her there.
What? The mom has to have a town. Giving birth to your child.
Children, I don't know. Really enjoyed it, and she tried to make the most of it, and really she's got a lot of things to do. She's taken that to heart, and some people don't, but she really has, and she's got a lot of good connections, so. I think she'll be great. She'll be a lot of fun. She will be the only Miss Orem to take all of her, what do you call it, royalty with her to Miss Utah, because each one of them has gone on when they're.
Okay.
Everyone for royalty has their own title.
5 years later.
Together, and they're all good friends. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's nice.
So exciting. So
I did not know that.
Isn't that fun?
hello, I am Becca from NIT Neighborhood Improvement Team. I've been doing this for about a year. Yeah, actually I'm a year in March, so I've been doing this for a year, and we do code enforcement. So our NIT team is made up of Gary. Once you meet him, you can't miss him. He's literally like this big, just huge. And then there's Al, who is former police, and he's just awesome, so great to work with. And I don't know who Becca is. That's good. And then we also work pretty closely with our police guys here, with Giles and Leach and Norman, to work on things that sometimes we need to take an officer with us, or sometimes it might be a little bit better suited if they go and handle a particular situation just for a little bit, and then they pass it back off to us, or sometimes we coordinate for community help. So what do we do? Or like, where is our area of expertise? So we like to say that we do pretty much everything that's from the sidewalk in toward your property. So we most commonly do kind of like weeds and landscaping, but we also deal with when you've got a neighbor who's like garage is puking into their driveway. That's us. Just kind of non-criminal nuisance stuff. And I do have a few pictures that we'll go over. So what is our general compliance process? Usually we get a complaint. We're about 60% reactive, 40% proactive. I'll get into why later, but generally we get a complaint or a concern, either from a neighbor, somebody driving by, and then it's forwarded to us. We go, we look at it, and we determine whether it's valid, invalid. Sometimes we get there and it's an Easter egg hunt, and it's a little like Russian doll. There's lots of things, and sometimes we get there and, it's not that big of a deal. It might not be your favorite thing, but it is compliant. If we do find a violation of any kind, what we'll usually do is we go ahead and we issue a warning notice through the mail. We do this because there's 3 of us and then the whole city. So when it comes to opening, that is the fastest way for us to get that out in a timely manner. Typically, they are given 30 days. We do work with that, we do move that around. Sometimes things just can't be solved in 30 days. One particular instance would be anytime we run into an issue with over occupancy, or maybe if there's an illegal apartment inside of there, we do the 90 days so they have enough time to either let the tenants be able to find a new place, or to be able to start the permitting process, and hopefully they can get, you know, an accessory apartment permit in time and have a happy ending. During that process, we go ahead and we offer whatever resources are relevant or available at the time. Our most common one is we have like jump passes that we're always handing out so people can go ahead and drop off loads at the dump for free. We'll do, we have our own dump kind of, I forget, trailers, that's the word. We have our own dump trailers, and sometimes we are able to take those out and we say, hey, you load up, we'll take it for you. Especially if they don't have like a truck or something to handle that. And then we have a few charities that we work with, like the Fuller Center, Habitat for Humanity. And then during the summer, the city has limited grants. So sometimes you can apply and get your money to fix a sprinkler system or something like that. And sometimes we're able to offer assistance ourselves. It does get pretty tight, but especially during the summer when we have like days of service, we have the opportunity to go out and help. There's Giles on a on a trenching thing to help people get in sprinklers. We were able to help this particular individual with getting in sod so that they could come in compliance. We had money left over in a budget, so we were able to order that for them. And then, you know, sometimes we'll go in certain areas and weed or help do planting and stuff. And sometimes, a lot of the times, they don't even need us. It's great. Sometimes people are really awesome and they can handle things on their own. And this is, I have a few examples where you know, some residents were really able to make a turnaround. What was the instance in this was there were 14 dead trees on this property, huge ones too, that were in danger of falling into the street, onto the neighbors behind them, onto the neighbors to the side of them. And this owner didn't even know because it was a rental situation. And we sent out the warning notice, said, hey, you know, there's a situation, and they were able to go ahead and take care of that. And then there's other situations where, like, this was one that I worked with, where we were issuing dump passes and dump trailers, where we're like, hey, you know, just clean it up and get it into your car. That's what we're looking for. It doesn't have to be, you know, just the world's most immaculate thing, but we're just looking for compliance. And this is another one where they totally just, wow, this was open for lack of landscaping and the trash that had just kind of been left around. Again, another rental situation. We got a hold of the LLC that was in charge of it, and they did a whole turnaround. So they didn't have to paint the house. They did that on their own, but they went ahead and took care of the whole thing. So, oh, and I got one more. This one was fun. This one's in progress right now. When we went there, these weeds are literally taller than me. And the branches started falling off the tree. Just absolute crazy pants. And we're in progress. This was taken in the winter, so it's a little barren. But we've been able to work with them to get weeds taken out. And we're really excited because they're looking forward to getting their landscaping done this May. So the neighbors are thrilled. So obviously not everything's a match made in heaven. You know, sometimes we don't get compliance or we can't work with them on the dates. And we kind of run into issues at that point, or sometimes they don't even respond, right? So we started looking at any way that we can contact them. Door hangers, calling any phone numbers we can find, you know, going to the house and knocking if it's a situation that we feel safe enough to go into. And then at that point, if we're still not getting any kind of communication, any kind of working at all, we look into citation. And at that point, we start kind of assessing fines. Typically, it's usually $50 per fine, which is pretty low. We've talked to a few other cities, and I sometimes hear what other cities do, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But really the goal is just enough incentive to, hey, we're pretty serious about this. Could you please, you know, start working with this? And at that point, we usually offer, you know, an extra 30 days. Please get paid by then. Please get it fixed by then. Again, in the situations where it can't be fixed in 30 days, we can kind of work with that. If the citation isn't working at that point, we look into going to court. And the beautiful thing about Orem is we do it administratively. So it's not criminal. We get to go in actually into that room and we sit down with the judge, and the judge gets to work with them and say, hey, you know, here's what needs to happen. Here's what it needs to be done by. And here's what fines you might be looking at if we don't get it moving along. And our current judge is really awesome. He's very, very compassionate, very willing to work with people and do what he can, because the goal is compliance, not, you know, misery and sadness. So at that point, I guess the question kind of becomes, well, how much am I doing with each thing? We would say the number one violation we're running into is landscaping. They kind of have their seasons. I don't go out and I don't issue landscaping things in the middle of winter. That's crazy. Lawns aren't growing. But typically it's usually, we get into the summer months, the weeds just start piling up, the neighbors start calling in. And sometimes it's like, hey, it's not that big of a deal, but we get calls where there are rats living in my neighbor's weeds. Help, what do I do? And that's where we come in and try to get that process moving along. And some of these things tend to kind of come in, like I said, in packs. So it's not too uncommon to find lots of junk where there might be, say, a broken down car or a few broken down cars. And of course, like I said, that cycles when we hit our fall and winter months, we start looking more at occupancy because nothing's growing, and suddenly, you know, people, and you just see things, you know, differently. Different things are more noticeable during those times. And this one says family. that is what we use for over occupancy. So that's what that means. We're not kicking out like enough. Like I said before, we're about 60% reactive, so that is in response to the concerns that we're receiving. Where we get the 40% reactive is because when we get a call on a neighbor or on a house, or, you know, we also do commercial businesses occasionally, depending on the scope of that, like how bad it is, and which department it's been passed through. We go through and we respond to the call, and then we canvass the neighborhood. Because the last thing we want to do is, we call them the neighbor feudal wars, right? We want to make sure we're going through and we're not just picking on one person because maybe two neighbors have beef with each other. We're really trying to look at how can we be fair, so we're avoiding singling people out. And sometimes people call in and they're shocked to find that we find something wrong with their property too. We don't know that half the time. You know, we lots of our things come in anonymous, we keep it anonymous. But yeah, there's been a few times where, you know, you get a call and neighbor B is doing this, and then both neighbor A and B are in a little bit of a hot spot. So but yeah, and that's my presentation. If you have any questions, I mean, you can ask me while I'm here. But we do forward all of the things like Jenica said to the work center, the ticketing center. That's one of the easiest ways to get us. And then also you can call through 311, which is the 229-700 number. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question. What is considered an illegal residence?
Yeah.
Slash apartment slash whatever. What is the new term for those?
Yeah, so it's kind of two separate things. So if we're looking at like an illegal accessory apartment in addition to the home, there's a whole process that the city has, and it's called their ADU permit. And basically it's just if you're going to rent out a section of your home, you have to make sure that that living space is qualified to be habitable and up to code for those people. So a lot of the times they'll come in and they'll look at window egress. They'll make sure that the tenants have a proper entrance and exit of their own. Make sure that they have proper electric, proper all that stuff. Because we quite frequently run into problems where someone buys a house and it has a mother-in-law apartment in it, which is great, except if you use it separately, that basement might not be even built to code. And those people might be in some kind of a danger of fire or electric and they don't even know it. So they come in and they have those people look at it, inspect, and pass it off.
Now, do they still have to be owner occupied?
Yeah, so that is part of the rule. They have to be, they're supposed to be.
I have about 10 to 15 homes in my neighborhood that are not.
Yeah.
That have, I will be honest, I have personally complained because of the traffic, the cars, so many people living there, the yards looking like crap. I mean, I've been in my neighborhood for 50 years, you know, it's really sad to see it going downhill because people don't care. Nothing has been done.
Yeah.
And the excuse comes back of, oh, well, they say it's family living there. I can tell you firsthand, they are not family because the upstairs and downstairs are both online for rent right now. So how do we, as neighborhoods, stop all of this from happening? Is it even possible, or should I just say, you know what, let it go and close my eyes?
You're absolutely right, and that's something that even our team is kind of like, where's the boundary? Because we do not enter homes for our safety, and because there's only 3 of us, it's very rare that we can get the other one to come with us. And the police, you know, we try to get them when we can, but sometimes they've got other things. So the current has been, if the people are saying that it's all family in, we usually take that the first time. If we get the complaint again, or if somebody comes by and they say, hey, I can show you on Facebook, here are the rentings, here are the listings that they're being rented out separate. That is extremely helpful to us when it comes, and sometimes it's annoying, right, because it's coming through the second time, but when it comes through the second time, that flags to us, oh, we've been lied to. And then we can expedite the process and bring them into court, where we'll get citations.
And then what happens? I mean, will somebody in that house be asked to move out and they can't rent it as a, I mean, we've got one right across the street, upstairs, downstairs, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. They're making over $5 grand off this house every month. And they've told you guys, oh yeah, it's family that's living there. So what would happen at that point if you find that they're in violation? Do you say, sorry guys, you're done, and kick somebody out?
Yeah, so in that case, it gets kind of tricky because it depends on how far the case has gone the first time. If they have already hit the citation phase the first time, all on their own, at that point, we skip the warning because it's gone, you know, you've been notified, we've done this round. And so we'll take them straight to citations, they get their 30 months, and then we take them to court. At that point, they have to sit across the judges. The judge gets to order.
So days, not months, like
30 days, 30 days.
Yeah. At that point, the judge gets to order, you know, whoever's in your house, and if it's over occupied or whatever, they have to go. And I know that sounds really harsh, but those.
No, because they know the rules to begin with. They know that you can't have homes that aren't owner occupied and rent. I mean, they have 3 in the area, so they know this rule.
Yeah.
But they just choose to do it as a moneymaker, which is really frustrating when, you know, you have kids that want to buy houses and they can't because people are snatching them up to rent them. I could go on for hours, but you know, that part is just frustrating, especially for our neighborhood because it's so transient now, because people will just rent top, bottom, they'll divide it into 3s. I mean, there's very few of us that actually own the homes that live there.
Which neighborhood are you in?
just west of Costco.
Okay.
I don't,
Okay.
am thinking, I am usually not just west of Costco, but you're more than welcome, I can exchange information after
Yeah,
this and you
I would
can
love
let us
to,
know.
just so it will slow down. I mean, it's just.
So that solves for that tenant. But then is there no way to flag that or to do anything so that that doesn't keep, because that tenant's gone.
They're gonna get another.
And they're gonna get another tenant. And they'll start all over again.
One of the,
So-
sorry, you're good if I answer most of them.
Go.
So one of the things that they've seen a lot recently is the younger college kids go out and purchase a home in a neighborhood like that, and they use it as an investment property. And they rent it out and they sublease it and they make cash off of it. And that Becca loves those guys, right, Becca? So they're pretty arrogant little guys. And they are using it as a moneymaker. And they immediately, as fast as they can, they get him in to see the ALJ judge, because the ALJ judge is not kind about that.
Yeah.
It upsets him, and he'll issue fines, and some of his fines are $10,000.
Oh,
Like he'll throw some pretty steep fines at them. So if you have one of those, or you know that it's being leased out like that, let these guys know, let them work through it. It will take a while. It does take them quite a while to get all of, it all processed and everything, and to gather the evidence that they can do. But yeah, the ALJ judge has no problem. And we had a guy from New Zealand that was owned a property here, and he was doing that, leasing that, renting out, and they brought him into ALJ. He was a jerk to the judge, and the judge said, you know what, $15,000.
Sweet.
And he's like, what?
Well, it just appreciates the neighborhood.
Yeah.
My house is depreciated because of this. They've got 10 cars over there. They had a bunch of young college men living there that were having parties. I have little kids. I mean, that stuff drives me crazy. And if you are keeping track of your yard, you have a couple cars, you're nice, you're quiet, you're a good citizen, I'll leave you alone. But if you're driving me crazy, and they're parking in front of my house, and anyway, I just
be this squeaky wheel. That makes sense.
Yes,
just
squeak more than I already have.
Keep it going, because they do track every single complaint that comes through.
Okay.
And the more complaints they get on one property, the easier it is for them to be able to take action.
Yeah.
In your opinion, are the fines too low some of the time, and they're making a lot of?
He's very compassionate. Like if it's an elderly couple, or a young family, and they just don't have the funding to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish with them, we work with him as best we can. He's very cool about, hey, I'm going to extend it out for 6 months and give you some time to work on it. Here's some people we know that can help or whatever. But yeah, the ones that are just making it they're just making money off of that house. Those are the ones he doesn't really have patience for.
So who follows up on that? So 6 months later, you might go there.
Yeah, so yeah, it becomes kind of a weird situation where he'll do the order, right, and technically that's what they're following, but we'll be responsible for, checking in periodically, and usually it's not just like a one and done court. You will get scheduled for reviews and you come in. So it's quite common, depending on the severity of your case, you might be in every single month, just so the judge can be like, are you doing what you said you were gonna do? Sometimes, they'll be like, okay, come back in 2 months, depending on our history, how they've been, how we ended up there, and what the situation is like. So, yeah.
Yes. Do we have any rules on Airbnbs and Orem? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to pick
It's a hot topic.
Yeah. My sister lives in the Avenues in Salt Lake, and she's just given up. She's just so frustrated. She is a homeowner that lives there. But anyway, I wondered, where is Orem on that?
So
I think one of my neighbors is turning their house into an Airbnb. So I'm like,
yeah. How to
just lay it out on the table.
It's kind of a weird situation where we do technically buried in the code have a rule that says single family residentials can't be used as transient housing. At that point, we have to kind of like figure out what that means as far as, we don't have a definition outright that says this is transient housing. We have to look at our definition of guest, and then our definition of family, and definition of how many people are coming in and out of the house. And legal's trying to work on Airbnb rules right now, but they're waiting for some stuff that's going through the state before they start hammering on that, and then just trying to see where the general you know, city climate is on that, and that'll have to be looked at by city council for further rules once we get to that point. But there's been a few where we've had instances where it was like, I'm sure you guys have heard of the goat house.
Yes.
Yes. That one was a situation where, you know, we were like, what do we do? Right? Because we do kind of have the law, but we also kind of don't. And the way that was able to go through was, the house is meant for single family, and there are 40 people coming and staying in that home. And so in that particular instance, it was a combination of all of them, and that's why we felt comfortable taking it through court, because it wasn't just, oh, you know, one family's here for a few, God, it was this is actively disruptive and causing a major problem. It needs to be handled. So, yeah.
One other question.
Yeah.
We talk about the front yards. Are there ever any issues or enforceable things with backyards?
Yes, we get them a lot less common because our rule for us is if we see it from the street, that's naturally what we enforce. If it's a neighbor complaining about the backyard, we can do that because it's anything that is visible from public right of way or an adjoining property. We just have to kind of warn the neighbors that
they'll know who
they're, yeah,
it's
they're
not
gonna
me.
know.
I have this pasture behind me.
Yeah, because part of it is
asking for a friend.
Yeah. part of it is just for us, we have to be able to see it to enforce it.
Yeah.
So either it's either
you went over for a barbecue.
Yeah.
A mess in the neighbor's yard.
Yeah. So there have been instances where they say, you know, please come into my backyard and stand on my deck and look, and you can take your picture. We still have to let them know, hey, if we end up in court for some reason and we're showing this picture, they're still working.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can
but tent cities tend to be frowned upon backyards.
Yeah.
Anyway, very interesting.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah.
Maybe one you haven't had before. What are the rules for what I would call light trespass? So your neighbor's backyard light shines into your yard or frankly just Orem street lights shine into your house.
As far as I know, I don't have any ability to touch that at all. I don't have any codes that I can work with that talk about like what the lighting angle or the lighting type. I mean, that might be a situation if you're talking about like a commercial billboard, because commercial billboards and those kinds of things come with like certain rules where they're getting put as far as their lighting, both with the city and with the state. But if you're talking about like floodlights or maybe you have a neighbor that just like hates you and they sit there with their flashlight. I can't do anything.
So that could fall under nuisance, like if it was a smell or if it was something like, and if we left the property, it's something that's on the property, leaving the property, but you couldn't, why does it consider?
So I have, it would fall under noxious emanations. In that case, our noxious emanations rule is very specific about being a particular fume or just like soot, dust, those kinds of things. But I don't have anything that would specifically allow me to deal with light. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird. And sometimes I'm like, I would love to do something about it too, but I can only work with what's written for me.
So how about barking dogs? Is that considered?
No.
Yeah, that's something that's a nuisance leaving the property too.
Yeah, so we do have stuff for sound, but that's one of those weird situations where we normally hand it over to patrol because they can get called to come to it when it's happening.
That's actually something my neighbors tell me about because they know I'm on this commission because they have.
Yeah, I'll tell you straight up, if you barky dogs or if it's happening, tell whoever's gonna report it, they need to report it. So because there's a specific time amount, length of time they have to be barking to be a nuisance and usually, I'm not gonna lie, usually when you're on a graveyard and you get a barking dog call, you pull up in the neighborhood, really goes down, you sit there for a minute.
It's quiet.
Okay, it's not barking anymore, because you have other things to do, right? So then you go out and try to find a drug dealer or something, but so people get frustrated with those calls a lot, so just make sure that you tell whoever's gonna report it, get on cell phone, pull out your camera phone and report the dog barking, you know, keep track of how long it barks, all that kind of stuff, and then our ACO guys can go back during the day and either, the first time they usually warn them and tell them, hey, you get a bark collar for your dog or something, you take care of it, get it inside or whatever, and then the next time they come back out on the second one, they'll just issue them a citation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could actually just add in, I know you mentioned city streetlights. If you have any problems with city streetlights, you can submit a ticket by 311 or what's up on the screen there, and that'll be sent to the city street lighting department and they can work with you.
Yeah, I've talked to them.
Can you turn them off on the 4th of July when we do our fireworks, right?
Turn them every night when I get my telescope out.
Can I ask a question about ADUs again? So I'm just wondering if some of these younger couples or that some people just don't understand that they're breaking the law if they rent up and down and then just leave. So I wonder if there could be more publicity about this is what a legal ADU is. You know, did you think that maybe you're breaking the law by renting out the top and the bottom? I don't know how it would be addressed, but I just wonder if there needs to be more information out there because I don't love reporting my neighbors. Yeah. And so I just think if they are sent something and then they're like, oh, okay. The other thing is if the owner lives out of state, I don't know if we can, if the city has that ability to say, oh, okay, the owner lives out of state, let's target them to say, okay, maybe you're operating illegally. I mean, probably the only way is if you go to the Utah County property, you know, and see that their mailing address is out of state, but I don't know.
Most out of state property owners like that, if you tell them, we're going to start fining you. If you don't come into compliance, we're gonna start fining you, and the fines are not cheap. Then most of them will get on it because they don't want to lose that rental property. So most of them will come into compliance just so that they can keep renting it out. Usually, if they're out of state.
Yeah. The other tricky thing is when we send out our warning notices, one of the first things we do is we go to the Utah County records to find the mailing addresses. You'd be astounded how many people just don't update their mailing addresses. And then we end up in a weird situation where we're like, hi, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like they, you know, had no idea. We didn't know because we're working off of what we have. So we try to do our best. We try to get our most accurate information, but sometimes we do kind of run into that little thing where they just didn't happen to update it, or maybe they knew that they didn't update it. Who knows?
Yeah, because there's also the landlord. Like you need to with Orem, you need to be on the landlord list, right?
Yeah,
and there's not very many.
Yeah,
registered.
So yeah, it gets hairy because sometimes it's really hard for us to be able to outright find that information until it gets reported in kind of the things. Yeah. Any questions? Or was that sufficient?
Sure. At least I just got it out.
Good. Yeah.
These guys will keep your tips anonymous.
Yeah.
So that's not always the case with us, because if we take criminal action, a lot of times we have to divulge who the complainant was so that we can bring him to court. But with these guys, it's just anonymous. They won't throw you under the bus.
So what's the contact number for you then, like if we wanna reach you directly?
Like, me directly? Do you want me to say it right now? I just say, I don't have a business card. Isn't that a crying shame? I don't know how to get one.
We're being recorded. We'll give you some business cards.
Yeah. My old boss was like, look, get your business cards, and then she left, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But yeah, so my information, if you want it, and then you can talk to me after you happily get jump in. But it's 385-471-5514. And that is my city cell. I don't give out my city stationery because I'm not in my office. I'm out driving all the time. If you call that, I might not even see it till a day or two later because it's very rare. Yeah.
So, question, I mean, it's been super informative, and I think if I'm reading this right, the intersection between what you presented and where we sit as a neighborhood commission is that we need to be ones who understand and can communicate that back to our neighborhoods. Are there any other ways that we interact with the NIT, the neighborhood improvement team? I mean, other than like, you know, understanding the code enforcement stuff that you went through tonight, are there other ways that we'll interact with you as members of the community?
We do. I'm totally such the wrong person for this. So my supervisor, I'm not Alejandro. He's getting surgery, so he's out right now. But usually we do kind of our like neighborhood picnics when these guys do their police picnics in all the neighborhoods. We're there whenever there's a major event that has a booth where these guys are at. We're there. As far as anything else, I'm not sure, just because I'm usually not always the point of contact for that. And I can give you guys Gary's phone number too, his office number. He actually answers that because he's in charge of vetting our whole system and assigning cases when they get called in. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't
No, that's okay. I just asking for understanding, so.
Maybe that's a good Jenica item, that we can find that out and then that can be emailed to all of us.
I think it kind of dovetails with Mark's question from earlier about, you know, finding ways if stuff's happening in our areas of being aware, or at least understanding, you know, how we can be a part of that, so.
Well, I would also add, like, as we get more district meetings rolling and things, like, it will be more targeted, so when we meet with your individual neighborhood districts, we can go over, like, the common issues that we're seeing in your neighborhoods as well.
Yeah.
I think Gary's usually at the neighborhood meetings when they're split up. I haven't had the luxury of going to one of those, so like I said, I don't know, but in the past, we have had a few times where it wasn't through like any commissioners or anything, but just a group of concerned neighbors got a hold of, in this particular case, they happened to know a council person and they asked, hey, is there any way we could coordinate scheduling those, actually me, Gary was out again that week. I went and met with that group. So you could also do that. I mean, we're not like allergic to meeting with the public or anything. So if you get a hold of either us through like the 301 or maybe through Jenica or something, we're always more than happy to come and meet you guys if you get a little group together or something. Yeah.
I showed this at the last meeting in July, when you weren't here. My neighbor across the street had some interaction with the NIT and it was very positive. I just wanted to, again, to just compliment you on that. It was working on parking the motorhome, was it on a gravel or whatever, it just a side yard issue. And she was frustrated and they were patient, worked with her and got that problem resolved. And so far so good. Thank you for your patience and working with us.
Can you also give us an email we can reach you out?
Oh, absolutely. So it would be, I've got a crazy last name. Let's not that. So R as in my first name is Rebecca. So R S as in Sarah,
last name Gourley, Gourley, @orem.gov. And I can get with Jenica and have that sent out to you guys. Also my information and Gary's and Al's, and we'll see. Hopefully just not all three of us, so it's not all getting scattered, but so we can have a little bit more, but yeah, we'll have that email back to you. Thanks.
Okay, so now next item on the agenda is update overview from our police department. Anything like that?
I guess we have a couple events that are coming up that what you're in regards to. We have our autism picnic, which is coming up on April 25th. That'll be at the City Center Park. If you guys haven't attended that before, yeah, definitely come out. Cameron Wilson, who's our coordinator with the mental health unit, she does a great job of planning that. And so if you have family or friends or anybody that has any type of special needs, it's a great way to interact with us as police officers, because it's a very kind of, I mean, it's low key, but we do a lot of interaction, you know, playing volleyball, playing kickball. We have food and other activities, but it's for those that are artistic that don't like loud events and stuff. We don't have blaring music or anything like that. So it's definitely a good time. Last time I think we had what, 500 to 800 people ish there. Starts at what time? You remember? It's at 5?
Yeah, 5 to 8.
Something like that, 5 to 8. So it's just at the same. If you follow us on our Facebook page, you'll find all our events throughout the year there. But they'll usually post them at least a week before and then a couple of days before the event. So that's in April. We also have our National Night Out, which is a little ways out. That's in August. That's the first Tuesday of the month. We do it at the City Center Park as well. And we invite other agencies to join us. And basically it's an event for the officers to kind of give back to the citizens in the city. Say, hey, we appreciate you guys and what you do. So we throw a big barbecue. Last time we had the National Guard with the helicopter there. Our SWAT vehicles were there. We had other agencies, Lincoln Police, UTA, Utah County Sheriff's Office. And that one is really a pretty big event. We usually have close to 1,000 people at that event. So what else do we have going on?
When the weather starts getting better, we'll start doing neighborhood meet and greets with the barbecue, the hot dogs or whatever. Your neighborhood meetings, we'll come out and do those again. Those are, I think those kick off in May, I think is when those start back up. I'm not positive. I'll show you guys an email when they do come back up. Yeah, anything that you guys need from us, just holler. I mean, that we're here for you. Even if you think it's something stupid or you're like, well, I don't really want to talk to the cops about this. You never know what it's going to end up being or turn into. And so your, over occupancy houses may end up being a drug dealer house or something that we could dig into. So we'll try to look at it any angle that we can. So just if you need anything from any of us, just holler.
Yeah, I have just a question, and then I had in my neighbors, I was stopped by one of my neighbors in my neighborhood activities and wanted me and asked me to convey this. So I'll start with the positive. I work in another hat I wear is I work a lot with those experiencing homelessness. And I know public safety, that is an issue that you're working with and dealing with, and it can be discouraging and frustrating, and it can be tough. And I just want to express my appreciation to Orem PD because I know that you have had some specific training on homelessness and the mental health aspect of that and substance abuse. So I just know in the community, Orem PD is known as people who know that they got that training and that they're appreciated in the community. And second, my neighbors are upset that they can't park the way they want to park in a cul-de-sac. That's the second.
We've been to your neighborhood? Did you go there?
I grew up in a cul-de-sac, but I was in California. I live on regular, just a street, but I guess you can't park like going in. Is that a city ordinance or is that a state?
That would be city
We
council.
have discussed this several times, and quite frankly, I'm with you, the parking, but our fire chief has said that it's a safety issue.
It's getting into the cul-de-sac.
They can't get in.
Is that the one on the south end?
No, I live up, I'm behind Tiffany's Hospital.
So Jim Barrett, who's one of our park enforcement guys, he's very proactive. He does a great job, but sometimes people might think he does too good of a job. But yeah, I have been to a few of those because some of the neighbors have complained, so I've just gone down and just like, you know, kind of explain the situation, especially with the fire. You know, especially where we have that big tiller truck now. If that,
you gotta be able to turn.
Yeah, there's just no way like the fire truck could.
Well, when I was at church and the person came up to me and said, "You're that neighborhood person," I wanted to say, well, what well, you know, have you been seeing in our the social media about the people unhappy with the cul-de-sac parking? And I'm like, yep. And I said, I will pass that on. So I have done my duty. I have no skin in the game because I don't live in cul-de-sac anymore, but
well,
yes.
a lot of that stems from the housing, like where
overoccupancy.
students, multiple people are staying in one place. Now you have a house that has 16 cars, and now they're having to take up like all the parking in front of everybody else's
Yeah, I totally get it.
So they're like, well, why don't we just all park diagonally and that way we can all fit? But then Jim comes out.
The go house is like that, actually.
Yeah. So
Where was that
I would
house?
say that the social media for the city has done a positive job of trying to clearly communicate the standard in a way that's not offensive. I mean, I enjoy reading the posts, because sometimes I think they're cute, but
We gotta agree,
so I think it was clearly communicated. That one actually came up within the last year. I don't remember when.
And whoever does your Facebook, I've had people say, do you know who that is? I said, I don't know who it is, but he said, we love it, whoever it is.
So it's
shenanigans. Just in shenanigans, just, so.
They've really tried to have some levity there to try to help. But, and also to our credit, you know, they really do try to just go give a warning and educate. You know, so, but it sounds like you're saying they just want to.
And it's not that they're, and I understand the renting out, and I understand having to have that radius to turn the trucks. I have neighbors who have a lot of extended family who will come for Sunday dinner, and so you'll have 10 cars just boom, 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 and then, or whatever, and that was what they were concerned. In fact, the person who came and complained to me at church doesn't even live in a cul-de-sac. Okay. Yeah, I told them I would pass that on, and I have done my duty.
Okay, great. The next item, if no one has any further questions for police or neighborhood improvement, I just wanted to give an update. I don't know if any of you or how many of you have heard of the My Hometown Initiative.
It is so awesome.
It's not final, but we're very seriously looking into it with My Hometown. For those of you who may not know, I wanted to show a quick video. Hopefully the audio will work like this. So we'll find out. If not, again, we can offset it out after.
We just heard from them in our work meeting on Tuesday, so it's on the YouTube video for city council meeting.
Yeah, it has done wonders in Provo neighborhoods. That's what I've been really involved in, is the Provo. Oh, it's amazing.
Okay. It's still on my screen, but it's on a different tab. Maybe it's only sharing one tab or something. Really strange.
Yeah, I'm glad they came. I'm glad they came.
Yeah, she's I have friends who are nuts, they live in Orem, but they're serving
The one.
They live in Orem, but they're serving in Provo.
So,
My home's there.
how many of you are not aware of what my hometown is or have not heard of it? Okay, so it was originally set up by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They set up this organization to basically intersect between the city and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as well as other organizations throughout the community to provide resources that people need. So it's kind of done in a multiple pronged approach. So number one, they open up a community resource center in whatever neighborhoods are designated by the city. Usually this is in a church, but it could potentially be like in a school building or something like that, where they provide free classes to residents. So their most popular is English. They operate currently in Provo, West Valley, Ogden, and Salt Lake, in 2, 3, 4 neighborhoods in each of those communities. So they set up those classes. They have volunteers teach all the classes. There's English, sewing, piano, learning about gardening,
computers,
yes.
Finance. We teach, community action does a finance one there.
Great.
Yeah.
Tutoring.
Tutoring after school, yeah. It's just highly dependent on what the needs of the community are. So they work with neighborhood leaders in the area that they're setting up, city employees, as well as faith leaders, to figure out what do people need in this area. Some of those classes that they provide are really neat in that they allow the students to take home things with them. So if they come to enough classes, they can take home a little mini piano, or they can take home a sewing machine after these classes. And then the other element of this program, or there's a couple, so they provide community events to build neighborhood and community, so kind of just like fun parties and socials, dinners, and then they work with the city to provide days of service. And this is mostly done throughout the summer months, so it's most of the other cities, they operate about 5 or 6 months in the year that they have one day a month, one Saturday that they just kind of go blitz a neighborhood that they find. They work with, it could be code enforcement, other people that have identified needs in that neighborhood where they can go. They get hundreds, if not thousands of volunteers out to come and help improve property. So they do everything outside. So it could be yard improvement, it could be helping paint fences or homes. If possible, they try to get the resident who's receiving services to pitch in a little bit, but all the labor is provided by volunteers. And city employees help lead the projects and provide equipment for those projects as well. So, again, I don't know why this won't work, but I will send out a video afterwards. And again, you can watch their presentation. They came on Tuesday to our city council meeting. Right now, we're looking closely at the agreement, and we are trying to identify like key neighborhoods where we could start this, because we wouldn't be able to launch it in the entire city at once. Usually they just advise starting in 1 or 2 areas, low-income areas, and then expanding from there. So for example, West Valley, I think they have 3 or 4 currently, and they're looking to expand that.
Provo has 2, just down. Is it okay if I take?
Yeah,
please. I get so excited about my hometown because I've just seen what it can do to transform lives and the neighborhoods. So the one area is around Franklin Elementary School, if you're familiar with that, just south. Well, it's about 300 south and 5th west in Provo. They use the community centers, the church that's on the corner of 6th west and 300 south. So that's dedicated upstairs, it's dedicated as a community center. And then they partner with Franklin Elementary across the street. And the English language learning classes are super popular, like Jenica said. And it's a big deal when someone graduates from that. The community, the neighborhood comes all out as they're learning their English. They do like mom and me classes during the day, and they're taught by a retired nursery school, preschool owner. The keyboard, the piano, they keep wanting to come teach piano, and I was like, I got a job that I would love to do that when I'm done doing my job. But piano and sewing, and just things to help build skills, because studies show that learning music and things like that help improve that. And then they do these projects, and it brings the neighborhoods together. And this neighborhood has some older homeowners, but it has a lot of renters, and it has a variety of ethnicities in the neighborhood. And my hometown has brought this neighborhood together. And yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is involved, but it really is, Provo City has assigned employees who work and coordinate that. The church gives some space, but it's not a proselyting, it's not anything like that. It's let's work on creating a sense of community here. And so I go on forever, but I just.
It's all done in the name of.
It's wonderful. The other one is right across the street. It's the Provo Freedom Stake, which is right. If you're familiar with where community action is, there's a stake right across the street, to 500 West and Freedom Boulevard is where the other location is. And I know my neighbors serve there on Tuesday nights, so they're Orem residents who are out there. Like so, they came in to council and they're serving there. And one of the jobs that they're doing, responsibilities, is they're putting together a talent show. So this my hometown group is. So my neighbor's like, I don't know, Karen, are you gonna come sing or something like I? But thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my excitement about this.
When they set this up in an area, do they try to use a single facility, or would it be something that they might use multiple facilities for? For example, I'm thinking of my area, the Sharon Park neighborhood, because it could use it. And there's the Sharon Park School that's now vacant.
Yeah.
There's the Catholic church that's there that would involve a lot of the Hispanic community.
So
and
we
the
talked about
LDS
that.
stake would probably be involved, and they could do things at all three locations.
We talked about that in our city council meeting. We're working on the Sharon Elementary as you know, the roadblocks we need to work on is utilities, janitorial, you know, the overhead. But the wonderful thing about that building is it is available, whereas the church buildings, they go in and they have to then take up all their stuff and leave. But
yeah,
the one down,
camp out there.
Yeah, the one down by you, I think they have a two-story that you're talking about. They have I heard they have in the Franklin area have a two-story church, so they can leave the soy machines out, and they don't have to clean up.
Yeah, the one of them is a second story, and the other one is not, and so they have to, on the Tuesday nights they have to go clean up everything and put it all away.
So,
but the other one is able to leave it out.
That would be ideal. We just have to figure out.
But I think to add, they usually do just open up one community resource center in a neighborhood. So
well, if they did Sharon Park, they could do everything there. They could have garden boxes.
Yeah.
And also our Hillcrest Park with the old Hillcrest Elementary that we're looking into possibilities there.
Yeah. So we're planning on discussing with Alpine School District what the possibility if we could use that building, the Sharon.
And we did tell the My Hometown Initiative that you know, whatever Provo's doing, we will exceed it. So
So have we already determined the areas where that will be served, or is that something that they're still just determining right now?
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's a multifaceted effort. We're looking at obviously like Sharon Elementary, other church buildings, kind of identifying what are the low income neighborhoods that this could be most successful or needed in. But then it's also on their part that they work with church leadership. They say it takes a lot of buy-in to make sure that it's successful. So when we give them areas, they'll work and kind of vet out how we can partner successfully. And again, probably just start in one or two areas of the city. Smaller neighborhoods, not even a full neighborhood district. Like obviously people could receive services and attend from outside of that, but targeted in a smaller.
That Sharon Elementary School is just 2 or 3 blocks east of the Catholic Church, so
yeah,
we could get a lot of buy-in from that community also.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't have a church building connected to it, so at times I understand they have better turnout.
Yeah, people might feel awkward going to the
it's a
Catholic church if they're not Catholic.
And they offer different services as well if you don't have it in the church house. So they can do immigration help and stuff like that if it's not in a church house.
I can see that would be very helpful in our area as well.
So we're really excited about the opportunity. So keep posted for updates. Again, as it gets launched, we'll need a lot of help and a lot of support, but it can be really great. So we'll see if this video will work. No audio, so maybe not, but this is a different one that was not shown on Tuesday, but this is an overview of how it works in Provo.
that you or me?
I'm not doing it.
How I got
Stop
there.
pushing buttons.
It's a very slow response.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have full volume on here.
Yeah, it's not playing yet, so.
I think the
Streaming.
speaker's probably
It
disabled on the TV
yeah.
to connect it through the system.
That's what I'm thinking. If we could get it to work on here, it would work beautifully, but
Yeah.
I'll try one more time, see if it will maybe disconnect from the stream or the.
Oh, in your system settings, select a speaker.
Or that.
If you click the gear, if you click the
There you
gear
go.
up the bottom, the TV speakers go.
These boomers over here.
Sure. Okay, there's some sound.
My wife and I were called 2 years ago to direct the My Hometown initiative in the Pine Park neighborhood of Provo.
So the partnership where it all began was with the city of Provo and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints really put a lot of thought into this. Because they didn't want it to be a welfare program. They didn't want it to be dependent on the city or on them. They really put a lot of thought into, they wanted the people in the area to be lifted so that they could lift their neighbors. And the concept of that, getting outside, getting to see their neighbors that they hadn't met or maybe hadn't had an opportunity to, working in their yards to uplift their homes and their neighborhoods. And that was the whole vision.
We teach 3 language classes. We teach a basic computer course and financial management. Our biggest class is English as a second language. And because of this community is about 60% Hispanic, we currently in this session have over 150 students taking English as a second language.
My name is Erika. I am learning English for months. Yes. Vinimos a Provo porque teníamos un conocido que necesitaba nuestra ayuda, así como nosotros necesitábamos la de ellos. El inglés ha ayudado muchísimo a mi familia porque, pues para nadie es un secreto que debemos comunicarnos, ¿no? Para un desarrollo, para sencillamente vivir.
When my child, when I working, they put me on service. And I said to my boss, hey, my English is not good. It's terrible. Then I'm going to start to study here in my hometown. And English with a very good teacher. The first day when I take a class with them, they say something I never forget is, you're going to make a mistake. Don't worry about that. You're going to do mistakes. But if you don't take these mistakes, you can raise it up. Improve your English. So they changed me one sheet inside in my mind. I said, okay, we're gonna start. We want to start to talk in English. This class made me realize my life, and I'm start to do my own company working in a company. You made for what?
I think my hometown really encapsulates what it means to be a community. And every time I walk into this program, I see how many volunteers are and how they really just serve the people of the cohorts. And I love this community. I love my students. I love all the fun people that I get to meet at the neighborhood parties. And I love what this program stands for. And when I think about a hometown, I think this program makes Provo really feel like a hometown where neighbors know each other, where they care about each other. We can all step in to fill the need when there is one. So I feel like this is really blessed me because it has shown me the power of community and being by gathering around a shared need and a shared desire to create connection. We can really untap something really powerful.
One Saturday a month in the warm weather months, we do a day of service where
neighbors, identify the neighbors. Typically they're aged or infirm individuals that can no longer care for the exterior homes. We go in and help provide the human resources to cut down trees or do various yard works, paint, just a wide variety of volunteer service with the hope of beautifying the neighborhood.
So we have projects going 10 in this neighborhood, right in this neighborhood. Then we've also got a big National Day of Service project where we're cleaning up along the river trail in partnership with the city. And we have about 400 volunteers there today. So total, we're expecting to have about six or 700 volunteers in just our My Hometown projects.
It's gonna save, I don't know how many man hours, probably close to 1,000, that's my guess. So, and that's just, it helps improve the parks, and it helps me personally because I actually take care of these parks and I see the difference that it's making.
We just had a big social activity last week where we had over 1,000 people attend. The city erected a bandstand at the local park. We had two different bands and then acts from the neighborhood play. Really an awesome opportunity for neighbors to come together, get to know one another, strengthen existing friendships and build new friendships.
Oh, what's amazing, like a nice hot dogs. And I see too many people over there. I see some companions of my class and some teachers, some people for my dog. And take a good time. But yeah, this make a lot of activities to have a lot of sociality. So that's good. I think it's see your friends or your companions in different scenario. So that's good. Guess what?
Miracle of service is when we serve, not only is the individual that we serve blessed, but we're also blessed in our lives from enriched through that service. The goal is to be here for a period of time and then have what we're going to continue on entire 5 years.
Alright, so keep posted and let me know if you have questions over the coming months as we're looking into this, but any comments or questions about it at this point?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Let's be Provo.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, is there anything generally neighborhood concerns, discussion, things that we haven't had a chance to discuss that anyone wants to bring up?
This just kind of relates to what we've been talking about here. Last summer, we did a tour of, again, back to Provo Gardens. And the one here in Orem. How are we progressing on neighborhood gardens?
Yeah, so I know we are putting in for a couple of grants to start at least with the one on 8th North 8th East. And then hopefully from there doing some more. But right now, yeah, it's dependent on funding, so.
So that's that city land on the northwest corner that's kind of too small to do anything with?
Yes.
Perfect.
What about that area by the Sierra Pool?
I don't know what the update on that specific property is, but I am happy to follow up and find out.
Can I just ask one more question? I know that some of our areas in the city, they're trying to clear away brush and different things to help with our homeless problem. I know I live along Carterville Road and we have major issues there because that hill there, we have all sorts of new residents every summer that come along there. Are there plans to continue some of that cleanup so the brush and stuff is gone so there's not as much area for people to kind of hide in? And I know that there were a few different spots in the city that we previously discussed, needed that attention.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Last year, kind of the way we addressed it was if it was on private property, so if it was a homeowner's residence or whatever, if they would allow us to come in and clean up those homeless encampments would be happy to come in and clean them up. Specifically one up by the canal, I remember off of Center Street that we went up in their backyard and tore down a bunch of tents and stuff like that. There was another property down that's owned by UDOT just off of I-15 and University Parkway. That one, we reached out to UDOT on, and they came in and they brought in some machinery and took out a bunch of trees and cleaned out that stuff. So basically, it's just kind of case by case. So if you have that issue that comes up and you start noticing people moving in, let us know. That's what we are over the homeless issues that take place here, because I can put my mental health people in charge of them as well and try to get them resources. At the same time, we're trying to get them out. We just shipped a guy out to Texas that we paid for his train trip to get him out of here because he was an issue. So we'll try to help however we can.
Is there a big problem with homelessness out there?
Yeah. The housing is expensive.
Yes.
Rental property, even rent, is out of control for people. And so we're finding, you'll see it boom again a little bit. I mean, cold weather keeps a lot of them at bay here. But when it gets warm in the summertime again, they'll crop up. We try to stick around 8 South, 1 to 1000 South, right along the railroad tracks. That's a pretty hot spot. Down by 2000 South, it's pretty hot. The mouth of Provo Canyon is always pretty hot. We try to spend a lot of time up there. And so just anywhere you guys, if you see somebody out, see the tent set up somewhere or something, just let us know. We'll come. We do have ordinances that we can enforce, both on private property and on public home property. So, do
you have any idea of numbers?
No clue. We did a homeless community action.
I can talk, yes, how many there are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if I take this is my other, like I said, my job, and I've been really involved in the homelessness world. We did what's called a point in time count that would have happened in like the last part of January. The federal government requires that we do it in January. So we go out and we haven't gotten those numbers yet. I can tell you that the warming centers that we have going on in our area during what's called code blue, when the temperature is going to be below 15 or below, and then for up to 7 nights after, we're seeing about 30 people a night coming to have shelter in the different churches. There's the 3 different churches in Provo who are doing this. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is where it is tonight. Then we have Provo Community Church, which is on University Avenue, the one that looked with the, and then there's one called the Genesis Project, which is right next to kind of by Food and Care Coalition and the East Bay Post Office. And so on those nights, they take turns having places for people to come and stay warm and to get some food. It's basically to keep you from dying. We don't offer a lot of other services, so we don't see people coming from Salt Lake to come in and spend the night here. But we will have that number. Once we know that number, I can bring that back to our meeting. And just, we're figuring next year, the state law requires that there be warming centers. There'd be a warming center in Utah County from, I believe, October to the end of March, 7 days a week right now. That isn't the case. And so there is a what's called a Winter Response Task Force, mainly made up of elected officials, working out how they're going to address the warming how to do the warming centers. Because if we don't, we being Utah County, if we don't come up with a plan to do that, the state law says the state can come in and tell us how to do it and where to put a shelter or whatever. And so there is an incentive to get that all worked out before the August, I think it's August deadline to have that plan. So yes, we do have a homeless population, a lot of mental illness, a lot of substance abuse. Last year's point in time count, we found 30% of those experiencing homelessness were fleeing domestic violence. situations. And so, you know, the refuge is going to be building a new facility at some point here in Orem, which will be really, really helpful for that. We also, I volunteer at the warming, so that's why I said I'm going there after this meeting. We have people who have aged out of the foster care system who come, that they have nowhere to go. And we have people living in cars. That's just, you know, what you see it more than I do, but
yeah, that's the most popular.
Is you sleep in your car.
People sleeping in their cars.
And a lot of times they're employed. It's just, I can't find a place to live. So I live in my car and I'll go shower at Food and Care or wherever, get food there. So right now we're seeing roughly around 30. And they tend to be the same individuals every night. But we do see some new folks coming in, some come and go. Some will go off somewhere else and live for a little while and come back. So it's something we're working on as a county, and love to have your involvement in it. We have the opportunities with the warming centers through the end of March. So we're doing them this tonight, and then we don't have a location on Friday and Saturday nights, but starting again Sunday night through next week, they're warming centers. And to volunteer there, I have not heard of a negative experience for a volunteer. In fact, we have multiple people keep coming back saying there's a feeling here. There's something. It's just mainly it's people snoring and people eating some snacks and charging their phones. Sometimes there's a little excitement, but we haven't had to call the police yet. But it's something usually mental health related that we have people with the skill sets to de-escalate and do some things like that. So really long answer to the homeless, your question and then your question. But that's what's going on right now in our area with homelessness.
Yeah, if you just report them to us, exactly what we do is try to give them the resources that these guys use. If a lot of them are resource resistant, but some of them will take advantage of it. If we can help them, we'll help them.
Personal curiosity, around the park here, there's a guy who wears plastic bags. What's his story? He seems like a real friendly, nice
Across
guy.
from Target. He sits right across from Target.
Or out here, I said last week.
He's been here for a very long time.
As long as I've been a cop here.
15-ish years. Basically, he refuses any sort of service. He won't even respond to you.
Yeah,
you try to talk
to him.
So very resistant on any sort of resource. He takes care of himself, and that's about it.
Very rarely has any issues as far as crime goes.
Yeah, I've never seen
just kind of sticks to himself.
Sleeping under a tree or.
I don't know if this person's still doing it, but there was someone in Provo who would rent out space in their garage, just an unfinished garage, for people to sleep, and then would transport them to these different locations, these different intersections, to get money to pay them for the space in the garage. And so
he doesn't ever panhandle.
So
he won't accept money.
This is talking about somebody. Yeah, I'm talking about somebody else. And we've had that happen this within the last year or so.
Is that the one that the family, you found his family?
Rumor is that yes, he has enough money to pay for stuff. He just chooses to live that way.
Really interesting.
Maybe diverting the discussion. Apologize if we want to come back to it, but one of your questions reminded me that the city provides the dumpsters coming up here in the next few months for neighborhood cleanup. I really appreciate that service from the city. I know that it's a really positive thing for it encourages a lot of people to get rid of the stuff that's around there, right? So
how quickly they fill up, it's very obvious.
NIT is awesome. They do have the 2 dump trailers, and the one of them is a huge dump trailer. And they'll deliver that to their property right in front of their house, park it there, leave it there for a couple of days for them to be able to fill it up. So even when the dumpsters aren't out, if you guys have a neighbor that needs help like that, we're more than happy to help them out like that.
I love the story of the there was a yard that had some stuff on the side and you helped them, and the wife was extremely grateful that you encouraged the husband
To move forward. You saved a marriage.
I've gotten a few where I sent something out and I was expecting, because usually the responses, they're not very happy, right? But I got one call back and he was like, I'm so glad you sent me that. I've been waiting for like just somebody just slap me on the wrist to get me going. And I was like, I thought he was joking with me. I was like, he was like, no, really, like this is awesome actually. And we had little things. He had a few junk cars, and we have handouts for Habitat for Humanity to come pick up junk cars. And we gave those to him, and he's like, I've been meaning to get rid of those for forever, but I just didn't know where or how, and that's how it worked out, I guess.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, so as far as the next meeting, I think we had thought at least quarterly. How does that sound to everybody? Okay, and then I'll be working with Jenny for finding the next one and Reed. That would put us at April, May for the next one. But if things come up in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll send out contact information for the others who presented tonight as well. But we're here all the time, so let us know how we can help. And like I said, we'll get starting more in your district meetings as well. Be on the lookout for that. And with that, let's take a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
My motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Renee, is there anything that needs to happen?
It's usually in the fall.
Is it a process that you
I'm not kidding when I say it. They told us.
It's a fun one.
And Mayor was like, we would actually like to start.
Oh, good.
We have this.
I used to do that.
Because I was, you need somebody to come and say, we need to do this. It's like, I was happy to. It's just,
I can.
You're past that.
We're actually meeting in Southside.
Great.
So,
I'm just gonna